Welcome to chapter 2. Welcome to chapter 2, pardon me. Welcome to act 2 of the Crucible. This will be the fourth posted video, and it is the act 2 of the Crucible. We've finished act 1. First, it was a prelude in act 1, and that was like a lot of historical background kind of information provided by Arthur Miller so that you could appreciate the time frame in which the events occurred, and also appreciate who the main characters are and how they interact and how all those characters relate to the actual historical events that occurred in Salem. And so we had the overture, which was quite long, and it took me one whole film of almost 38 minutes to go through the overture. And then we had Act 1, and it was two videos to get through Act 1. And in Act 1, it was completely set in the bedroom of Betty Paris in the upstairs of the house. And we kept getting references to the parlor below. And in the parlor below, there were a lot of citizens from the town of Salem who descended upon Paris's house. He's the minister of the town, to ask if there's witchcraft about, because rumors are flying. And as each individual, like, people keep entering the scene. The only scene in this is like if we were at the play and watching, the only stage scene would be in Betty Paris's bedroom, and people enter and exit. There's all kinds of people who are coming in and out, like uh, Paris is with Abby for a while, talking about what happened the night before and how we saw girls dancing in the woods. And then Putnam comes in with his wife, and Putnam says that there's rumors abroad about things that are occurring. And Mary Warren comes in. She's the maid for John Proctor. And then Mercy comes in, and she is the maid for the Putnams, and she says that Ruth is also sick. And now people are saying that they actually see familiars flying around Salem. A familiar is like a spirit that flies around, and it shows you that there's people who are leaving their bodies, and there's evil abreast. So then Nurse Goody comes in, and pardon me, Rebecca Nurse comes in, and she is actually a midwife. That she's not gone to college to become a midwife or nurse. She just got the job because she has birthed so many babies. And she birthed all the Putnam children, and 7 of them died after birth. And this is important because eventually she's going to be accused of being a witch, and they say that she made the babies die. And we're going to see how ludicrous these charges of witchcraft are as the play continues. The next act is Act 2 is set at the Putnam house, and John Putnam had arrived in the first scene to talk to Abby for a while, and said, you know, you're going to eventually end up in the stockade with this shenanigans you pull. And he had no clue about how far this thing could go, and he had no clue of how evil Abigail actually is. So he goes back home, and he's talking to his wife, and they keep saying it's a cold house. And the reason is she gives him the cold shoulder because she knows he had an affair with Abby, and she has not forgiven him. And they have children of their own. They keep referring to the children are in bed. And they're in the whole scene in the Putnam house takes place in the dining room, and it's a long, narrow room. And eventually, all different kinds of people are going to arrive at the house, and all of them, again, any interactions that are going on in Act 2 are occurring in the in the Proctor household dining room. All right, so here we go. I'm going to put up the split screen. I covered the screen because I can't stand staring at myself like on Zoom. There's something discerning about it. No, that's not it. Uh-oh. Okay, so we're going to. All righty, so here we are with Act 2. And all right, so we're in the common room of the Proctor house 8 days later, which means that since the time when Proctor was in town in Salem. He's like 5 miles from Salem. Since the time when he was in town in Salem, um, 8 days has passed. And I love this. Isn't that a great visual? Look at that. Like there's puppets that are hanging people. That's a really good visual. Anyway, so here's another good visual. This is supposed to be like the Proctor farmhouse, and it's like you can see it's. They say they can own like many acres of land, and that he says to his wife when he comes home, we're gonna have to walk about the land one day. And of course, this is in Massachusetts, Salem, Mass, and this is in 1680s. We're in the common room, which is the dining room of the Proctor house, and he's been outside all day and working, and he comes in. At the right, a door opens onto the fields, and there's a fireplace at the left, and behind it, there's staircase leading upstairs. These comments are all about, like, metaphorically, what does that mean? The presence of the heat represents a tense atmosphere in the Proctor home. Um, the stairway upstairs, I don't know what that one means. And it's a low, dark, and rather long living room. All right, so see this? This gives the feeling of being trapped. Both John and Abigail trapped by John's sins with Abigail. The long room allows John and Elizabeth to keep distance. So people are going metaphorical here. As the curtain rises, this is good because it tells us that this is a play because there's a curtain that's about to rise. Written in 1952, The Crucible is an allegory for McCarthyism during the Second Red Scare. It takes an extreme historical situation where fear and vengeance combine to create a storm of accusal, pardon me, which destroys lives and promotes injustice. The play is about the Salem witchcraft trials, but the audience understands that it is about blacklisting also, right? And that means that it's a witch hunt compared to the hunt for communists or socialists. Arthur Miller is drawing a direct line in history's repetition of in the face of fear. It is a psychological and emotional reaction, but it's not rational. Miller actually names his fictional characters after real people involved in the Salem witchcraft trials. He actually does this because he actually did the research. So a lot of this is actual fact. There's actual experiences make his point that what was happening in the audience's own lifetime was not that much different from the mindset of in 1692. I got to tell you what it is it's about history repeating itself, okay? So John Proctor enters, he glances about the room, and he walks over to the fireplace. He halts because he hears his wife singing. And this is a big contrast, like she's happy and it's her home and she's doing her work. And he hears it. Then he continues to lean his gun against the wall as he swings the pot open over the fire and smells it. So he sees dinners over the open fireplace, and he smells it. Then he goes and he gets a pinch of salt to put in the pot, and he's tasting it. She hears her footsteps. He swings the pot onto the fireplace, goes to the basin, washes hands and face. Elizabeth enters. What keeps you so late? It's almost dark. I were planting far out at the forest edge. Elizabeth, oh, you're done then. The farm is seeded. The boys are asleep. Then Elizabeth says they are. They will be soon. And she goes to the fireplace and proceeds to ladle up stew into a dish. So she's got it was a stew that he put salt in. Pray for a fair summer. Says Elizabeth. Are you well today? Now she had been sickly all winter, and there's references made to this repeatedly. I am. She brings a plate to the table and indicating the food. Here it is, a rabbit. Going to the table. Oh, Jonathan trapped a rabbit? No. She walked into the house this afternoon. I found her sitting in the corner like she came to visit. So a rabbit actually walked into her house, and then Elizabeth killed it and made it dinner. Oh, that's a good sign walking in. Pray God. It hurt my heart to strip her, poor rabbit. She sits and watches him as he tastes his food. Well seasoned, blushing with pleasure. I took great care. She's tender. He said, and he eats. He watches her. I think we'll see some green fields soon. It's warm as blood beneath the clod. So he's saying the earth is warm, and pretty soon the grass will be growing. That's well. Proctor eats and looks up. If the crop is good, I'll buy George Jacob's heifer. That's a cow. How would you like that? It would. Proctor, with a grin, says, you know, Elizabeth, I mean to please you. So he's trying to make her happy because he made her miserable when he had the affair with Abigail. It's hard to say, I know, John. And then he gets up, goes to kiss her. She receives it. That means that she's not like all passionate and into it. With a certain disappointment, he returns to the table. Elizabeth, with a sense of reprimanding herself for having forgot, she gets up and goes to pour a glass for him. He now arches his back. The farm's a continent when you go foot to foot dropping seeds in it. So it's like a large farm they have. So she brings him a cup of cider, and Proctor says, drinks a long draft from the cider, then putting the glass down. You ought to bring some flowers in the house, Elizabeth. Oh, I forgot. I will tomorrow. It's winter in here, so it means the house is a cold, uninviting kind of a place. On Sunday, let you come with me and we'll walk the farm together. I never seen such a load of flowers on earth. With a good feeling, he goes to look at the sky through the open doorway. Lilacs uh, have a purple smell. Lilac is the smell of nightfall. I think Massachusetts is a beauty in spring. It is, says Elizabeth. There's a pause. She is watching from the table as he stands there absorbing the night. It is though she would speak but cannot. Instead, she takes his plate and a glass and a fork and goes to the basin. Her back is turned to him. He turns, he watches her. A sense of separation rises. I think you're sad again, are you? She doesn't want friction. She doesn't want to like upset him. And yet she must. She comes so late in thought. You'd you come so late, I thought you'd gone to Salem this afternoon. Why? I have no business in Salem. Elizabeth, you did speak of going earlier this week, Proctor, and he knows she means. I thought better of it since. Elizabeth says, Mary Warren's there today. Why'd you let her go? You heard me forbid to her to go to Salem anymore. Elizabeth said I couldn't stop her. Proctor holding back his condemnation of her is a fault. It is a fault. Elizabeth, you're the mistress here, not Mary Warden. She frightened all my strength away. So she says she's such an insistent teenager, I can't argue with her. And Proctor says, how might a mouse frighten you, Elizabeth? It is a mouse no more. I forbid her to go. And she rises her chin like the daughter of the prince and lays it on me. I must go to Salem. Goody Proctor, I am official of the court. Court? What court? Right? So they haven't been to Salem in a while, few days, and now there's a court case going on. And he says, what court? It's a proper court they have now. They sent for judges from Boston. She says they're weighty magistrates of the general court, and at head sits the deputy governor of the province. Astonished. Why, she's mad. I would to God she were. There be 14 people in jail now, she says. Proctor simply looks at her, unable to grasp it, and they'll be tried, and the court have power to hang them too, she says. Proctor is scoffing, but without conviction. They'd never hang, right? And then Elizabeth says the deputy governor promises to hang them if they don't confess, John. The town's gone wild, I think. She speak of Abigail, and I think she were a saint to hear it. Abigail brings the other girls to court, and where she walks, right? Where she walks, the crowd will part like the sea of Israel for Israel, and the crowds are brought before them. And if they scream and howl and fall to the floor, the person's clapped to jail for bewitching them. Proctor is wide-eyed now. That's black mischief. Elizabeth says, I think you must go to Salem, John. She turns to her. He turns to her. I think so. You must tell them it is a fraud. Proctor's saying, yes, okay, I surely will. And then Elizabeth says, let you go to Ezekiel Cheever. He knows you well, and tell him what she said to you last week at the uncle's house. She said it was not to be with witchcraft, did she not? And then Proctor says, she said she did. Now there's a little pause, right? So what Elizabeth says is that when you told me you saw Abigail said the dancing in the forest had nothing to do with witchcraft, and you have to go and tell them what Abigail said. Proctor is sitting quietly, struggling with thought. They must. It is a wonder they believe her. And then Elizabeth says, I would go to Salem, John, yet let you go tonight. So she's trying to get him to go to Salem immediately. I'll think on it. And Elizabeth gets some courage now. You cannot keep it, John. And then Proctor angering, I know I cannot keep it. I say I will think on it. Elizabeth hurt and very coldly says, good. Then let you think on it. She stands and starts to walk toward the room across the room. Proctor, I am only wondering how I can prove what she told me, Elizabeth. If the girl's a saint now, I think it is not easy to prove she's a fraud in town and that the town's gone silly. She told me in the room alone. I have no proof of it. And now Elizabeth gets really angry because she just realizes that Proctor was alone with Abby. And Proctor says that he never sees her anymore and won't go near her. And yet now he's saying he was alone in a room with her. And Elizabeth says, you were alone? Proctor stubbornly, for a moment alone, Elizabeth. Why then? It is not as you told me, right? Now Proctor's getting angry. For a moment, I say. The others came in right after. And then Elizabeth says quietly, she has suddenly lost all faith in men now. Do you do as you wish then? And she starts to turn. Woman! And he turns to her. I'll not have your suspicion anymore. And then Elizabeth says loftily, I have no. And Proctor says, I'll not have it. Then let me earn it. Let you earn it. So anyways, she's saying, if you're going to hang around alone with Abby, don't expect me that I'm not going to be suspicious of what you're doing. Proctor with a violent undertone. You doubt me then? Elizabeth with a smile to keep her dignity. John, if we're not for Abigail that you must go to hurt, would you falter now? I think not. So in other words, I've told you to go to town and tell them that Abigail's a liar, but you're not going. And I think it's because it's Abigail you have to speak against. And John says, now look you, I see what I see, John. And Proctor with solemn warning, you will not judge me more. And Elizabeth says, I have good reason to think before I charge fraud on Abigail, and I will think it not. Let you look to your own improvement before you judge your husband anymore. So where does that say Proctor saying that? There's something wrong here because this is Proctor saying that. Let you look to your own improvement. So what Proctor is saying is, how dare you talk about me with Abigail when you have faults too? I forgot Abigail, he says. And Proctor says, spare me. You forgot nothing and forgive nothing. Learn charity, woman. I walk around this house on tiptoe for 7 months since she's gone. I have not moved from there to there without a thing to please you. And still, there's an everlasting funeral march around your heart. I cannot speak of it, but I am doubted. Every moment judged for lies, as though I come to court when I come into my own house. So he's saying, you've never forgiven me for Abigail. You treat me like you're judging me all the time. John, you were not open with me. You saw her with a crowd, you said. Now you. So John got caught in a little bit of a white lie because he said he was with a bunch of people and saw Abigail. Now he's saying he was alone with her. I plead my honesty no more, Elizabeth. Now you would justify herself, John. I am only no more. I should have roared you down when you first told me of your suspicion, right? So when you first told me that you thought I was having an affair with Abigail, I should have said, no, I'm not, and yelled at you. But instead, like a Christian, I confessed. Some dream I had must have been mistaken for God that day. But you're not. He's thinking, I was thinking you were like a God, and if I confess my sin, I'd be forgiven. But you're not, and you let me do nothing but let me remember it. Let me look sometimes for the goodness in me and judge me not. So sometimes be nice to me, Elizabeth. I'm sick of you always judging me. And then Elizabeth says, I do not judge you. The magistrate sits in your heart that judges you. So she says, you're judging yourself because you know you did wrong. I never thought you but a good man. And then with a smile, only somewhat bewildered. And then Proctor laughs bitterly. Oh, Elizabeth, your justice would freeze beer. He turns suddenly towards a sound outside. He starts the door as Mary Warren enters. As soon as he sees her, he goes directly to her and grabs her by the cloak, furious. How did you go to Salem today when I forbid you? Do you mock me? Shaking her. I'll whip you if you dare leave this house again. Strangely, she cannot resist him, but hangs limply in his grip. Then Mary Warren says, I'm sick. I'm sick. Proctor says, pray, hurt me not. Her strangeness throws him off, and her evident pallor and weakness. He frees her. My insides are shuddery, and I've been at the proceedings all day. sir. Proctor, with draining anger, his curiosity is draining it. And what are these proceedings here? What will you proceed to keep this house, as you are paid £9 a year to keep it and help my wife, and my wife not wholly well? And then Mary Warren goes to Elizabeth with a small rag doll. She says, I made this gift for you, Goody Proctor. I had to sit long hours in a chair and pass the time with sewing. Elizabeth, perplexed, takes a look at the doll. Why, thank you. It's a fair poppet. It's just a little doll that's made like so a little doll. Elizabeth, perplexed, takes it. Mary Warren, with trembling, decayed voice, says, we must all love each other now, Goody Proctor. Elizabeth, amazed at her strangeness, indeed we must. Then Mary Warren glances around the room. I'll get up early tomorrow and clean the house. I must sleep now. And she starts to turn. Proctor, Mary, and then Mary halts. Is it true? Are there 14 women arrested? Right? So he says, Mary, is it true there are 14 people arrested and in jail? Mary Warren says, no, sir, there are 39 now. She suddenly breaks up and sobs and sits down exhausted. And Elizabeth says, why are you weeping? What ails you, child? Goody Osborne will hang, right? There's a shocked pause while she sobs. Hang? He calls into her face, hang. You say, Mary Warren, through her weeping, Proctor, the deputy governor, will permit it. Proctor says the deputy governor is going to permit this, and Elizabeth Warren says he sentenced her. He must to ameliorate it, but not Sarah. For Sarah Good confessed, you see. And Proctor says, confess to what? She in horror at the memory, she sometimes made a compact with Lucifer and wrote her name in the black book with her blood, and bound herself to torment Christians till God's thrown down, and we will must worship hell forever. So because Sarah Good said that she had been around the devil and making compacts with him, she's saved. Then there's a pause. But surely you know what a jabberer she is. Did you tell them that? Mr. Proctor, in open court, she nearly choked us to death. How choked you? She sent her spirit out. Elizabeth, oh, Mary, surely you. Mary says with an indignant edge, she tried to kill me many times, Goody Proctor. Why, I never heard you mention that before. I never knew it was before. I never knew anything before. When she came into the court, I say to myself, I must not accuse this woman, for she sleep in ditches and so is very old and poor. So what they're saying is that this poor old woman who has nothing and sleeps outside, uh, they drag her into court saying that she's doing witchcraft. And then Mary Warren says, well, things that had happened to me, like things that had happened, I never put two and two together and realized that she was bewitching me. And then there she sat, denying and denying, and I felt a misty coldness climbing up my back, and my skin on my skull began to creep, and I felt a clamp around my neck, and I couldn't breathe. And then, entranced, I heard a voice, a screaming voice, and it was my voice. And all at once I remembered everything she'd done to me. Why? Why? What has she done to you? Then Mary Warren, so this is like a little teenager testifying in court, like one awakened to a marvelous secret of insight. So many time. Proctor, she came to the very door begging bread and a cup of cider. And mark this, whenever I turned her away empty, she mumbled. And Elizabeth said, mumbled? She may mumble if she's hungry. And then Mary Warren says, but what does she mumble? You must remember, Goody Proctor. Last month on a Monday, I think, she walked away and I thought my guts would burst for 2 days after. Do you remember it? And Mary Warren says, Elizabeth says, what? Well, I think so. And then Mary Warren, so I told the judge Hawthorne, and he asked, or so, Mary Good says it. Would you curse a mumble that a girl falls sick after turning her away? And then she replied, mimicking the old crone, why, your excellence, no curse at all. I was only saying my commandments. I hope you may say your commandments, she says. And Elizabeth says, well, that's an upright answer. And Mary Warren says, but the judge Hawthorne says, recite your commandments. And then leaning avidly toward them, And all 10, she would say a single word. She never knew no commandments. And it was a flat out lie. So they condemned her. Mary Warren, now a little strained, seeing his stubborn doubt, why they must condemn her when she's condemned herself. And then Proctor says, but the proof, the proof. Mary Warren, with great impatience at him, says, I told you the proof. It's hard, proof. Hard as rock, the judges said. Proctor pauses for an instant and then says, you will not go to court again, Mary Warren. Mary Warren says, must tell you, sir, I will be gone every day now. I am amazed to see you do not know what weighty work we do. In other words, and we is the other teenagers, and they are the ones who are testifying in the court and that everybody's believing. Proctor says, what work do you do? It's a strange work for a Christian girl to hang an old woman. And then Mary Warren says, but Proctor, they will hang them unless they confess. Sarah Good will only sit in jail some time recalling, and here's a wonder for you, think on this, Goody Good is pregnant. Elizabeth says, pregnant? Are you mad? She's 60. And Mary Warren said, they had Dr. Griggs examine her, and she's full to the brim and smoking a pipe all these years, and no husband either. But she's safe, thank God, because for they'll not hurt an innocent child. So if somebody's pregnant, they won't hang them. But be that a marvel, she must see it, sir. God works in strange ways. So I'll be gone another day for some time. I'm an official of the court. They say, and I've been edging toward, and then she has been edging toward on stage. So she's trying to walk away, and she says, I'm an official of the court, so I have to go to court all the time. I'll official you. He strides to the mantel, takes down the whip hanging there. Mary Warren, terrified because he's going to whip her, but coming erect, striving for her authority. She says, I'll not stand whipping anymore. Elizabeth hurriedly, as Proctor approaches, Mary, promise now you'll stay at home. And Mary says, backing away from him, but keeping her posture erect and striving for her way. The devil's loose in Salem, Mr. Proctor. You must discover where he's hiding. And Proctor, I'll whip the devil out of you with a whip. He raises it over her, and she shrieks away and yells. Mary Warren, pointing at Elizabeth, I saved her life today. And then there's silence, and the whip goes down. And Elizabeth says softly, I'm accused? Mary Warren says, quaking, somewhat mentioned, but I said I never seen no sign that you sent your spirit out to hurt people. And I seen to live closely with you. They dismissed it. So somebody accused Elizabeth Proctor of also being part of the things with the witches. Who accused me? And then Mary Warren said, I'm bound by law, I cannot tell. And then Proctor says, I only hope you'll not be so sarcastical next time. 4 judges and the king's deputies sat me to dinner with you but an hour ago. Oh, so I'm sorry, this is Mary Warren. I'm bound by law, I can't tell you. And then she says to Proctor, I only hope that you'll not be sarcastic anymore. 4 judges and the king's deputies sat dinner with us but an hour ago. I would have you speak civilly from now on, from this time out. So she's saying to Proctor, how dare you mistreat me? I sit with the king's deputies and the judges for dinner, right? And Proctor's in horror, muttering in disgust at her, go to bed. And then Mary Proctor with a stamp of her foot, I'll not be ordered to bed. No more, Mr. Proctor. I'm an 18-year-old woman, even if I'm single. And Proctor said, oh, you wish to set up? Then set up. Then Mary Warren says, no, I wish to go to bed. And Proctor in anger says, good night then. And Mary Warren says, good night. And dissatisfied and certain of herself, she goes, wide-eyed. Both Proctor and Elizabeth stand staring. And Elizabeth says quietly, oh, the noose is up. There'll be no noose. So she's saying, I'm going to get hanged. The noose, they hang you on a noose. She wants me dead. I knew it from the week. I knew all week it would come to this. Proctor without conviction. They dismissed it. You heard her, Elizabeth. And what of tomorrow? She'll cry out until they take me down. So Proctor said, they dismissed it. They're not listening. And then Elizabeth says, what about tomorrow? Tomorrow they'll take me down. And Proctor says, sit you down. She wants me dead, John. You know it. I say, sit you down. She sits trembling. He speaks quietly, trying to keep his wits. Now we must be wise, Elizabeth. And then Elizabeth says with sarcasm and a sense of being lost, oh, indeed, indeed. And Proctor, fear nothing. I'll find Ezekiel Cheever. And I'll tell him all that she said in sport. Like, in other words, I'll tell them that she was playing in the wood as a game and it had nothing to do with witchcraft. And then John, with so many in prison, more than Cheever's help is needed now, I think. Would you favor me with this? Go to Abigail. Proctor, his soul hardening as his senses. What have I to say to Abigail? And then Elizabeth says delicately, grant me this. You'll have a faulty understanding of young girls. There's a promise made in that bed. So she's saying, you made her promises when you were sleeping with her and making love to her, and you have to go and talk to her. Elizabeth, spoke or silent, a promise is surely made. And so Proctor comes over and says, what bed? I made no promise, right? And she says, a promise was surely made and she will dote on it. Now I am sure she does and thinks to kill me, then to take my place. Then Proctor's anger is rising. He cannot speak. Elizabeth, it is my dearest. Oh, so then Elizabeth says, my dearest hope, John, I know it. There will be 1,000 names. Why does she call my name? There be a certain danger in calling such a name. I am no goody good that sleeps in ditches, nor Osborne, drunk and half-witted. She dare not call out such a farmer's wife, but there's a monstrous profit in it for her. She thinks to take my place, John. So, I'm not some half-wit or I'm not some vagabond. I'm the wife, a respectable woman in Salem, and yet she dares to call me out because she wants to be your wife, right? And then Proctor says she can't think of it, but he knows it's true. And then Elizabeth reasonably, John, have you ever shown her somewhat of a contempt? You cannot pass her in church, but you blush. I may blush for my sin. I think she sees another meaning in that blush. In other words, every time Abigail sees John, she thinks he blushes for love. And what see you? What see you, Elizabeth? And then Elizabeth says, conceding, I see that you be somewhat ashamed. Far am I from there, and she is close. Proctor says, when will you know me, woman? Were I stone, I would have cracked for shame the 7 months. And then he goes, why? How do you not know how horrified I am about what I did? And then Elizabeth said, then go and tell her she's a whore. Whatever promise you made, she makes sense. Break it, John, break it. Proctor between his teeth. Good then, I'll go. He starts for a rifle. Elizabeth trembling fearfully. Oh, how unwillingly, like she doesn't think he's going happy about it. Proctor turning to her, ripe in hand. I will curse her hotter than the oldest cinder in hell, but pray begrudge me not my anger, right? And then Elizabeth, your anger, I only ask you. And then Proctor says, woman, am I so base? You truly think I'm me that base? I never called you base. Then how do you charge me with such a promise? The promise that is a stallion gives a mare, I gave that girl. So in other words, I was just acting like a stud. I'm not like in love with her. It's just passion. And Elizabeth says, then why do you anger with me when I bid you break it? And Proctor says, because it speaks deceit and I'm honest, but I'll plead no more. I see now your spirit twists around the single air of my life, and I will never tear it free. And then Elizabeth crying out, you'll tear it free when you come to know that I will be your only wife, no wife at all. She has an arrow in you yet, John, and you know it well. An arrow is like, how when you're in love, Cupid shoots you with an arrow, right? So she's saying Cupid's arrow struck John Proctor and he still loves Abby. Quite suddenly, as though through air, a figure appears in the doorway. They start slightly. Is Mr. Hale. He's a little different now, drawn a little, and there is a quality of deference, even guilt about his manner now. Okay, so enter Reverend Hale. Okay, I'm going to stop the pauses. I am going to stop the recording now, and I'm going to make this into 2 videos because I've been at it like a half an hour, I think, and it will take another 20 minutes at least to get out of this scene. What happens is they're going around door to door with a wagon and they're picking up everyone accused of witchcraft. And apparently Elizabeth Proctor is on that list. So Reverend Hale is appearing just after dusk at the Proctor house to take um, uh, Goody Proctor to jail in chains. And this is a very disturbing scene. And not only that, but the wagon outside the door is filled with other people, other who have also been accused of witchcraft. And we're going to find out that there's all kinds of accusations, and then there are tests to find out whether somebody has actually been participating witchcraft or not. And of course, I say the person who is the chief person testifying is Abby, and she's leading the other girls in this frantic. All the girls are actually getting frantic as they testify about, and they actually believe it. They're actually, it's actually hysteria, and they're testifying that there's different people all over Salem, and not only that, but they've been empowered. So if you take somebody and you empower somebody who's just an evil person, there can be evil consequences, and that's what happened in the McCarthy hearings, and that's what's happened here with Abby. So I'm going to shut down this recording, and I will have a recording 5 for the second half of Act 2.